Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 232 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes, and I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Mr. Nick Manella. What's going on, my friend?
Not too much. Just kidding. A whole effing lot, and we'll cover that in a little bit. But welcome back, buddy. Missed you last week. Glad to have you back on this episode, and we got a lot to talk about. It's a busy week in more ways than one.
Yeah, an enormous week in America. The Minnesota Wild are red hot, so
Yep.
obviously that's the talk of the town right now. Fox News is all over it, ESPN's all over it. Everybody's talking about it, and that's what we're going to talk about today a little bit as well. But I'm going to throw it across the screen to my other co-host up in Wisconsin with a very Rob Lowe-esque hat, might I add. Mac Vogel, what's going on?
Oh, what's up? I'm doing all right, all things considered, other than the fact that it took me an hour and 27 minutes to drive home from my office today, which is located approximately 12 miles away from my home, simply because people don't know how to drive when it's drizzling outside. So that's nice. Love that. Um, Excited to let loose here and talk some puck.
So I don't get how like people up by you aren't good at driving when it's drizzling, considering all the snow you guys get.
It's beside me. There were three separate accidents on my 12-mile commute home. And again, it was never I never needed more than the first setting of windshield wipers. So uh yeah, pretty cool stuff.
That's fun.
Mac, I gotta ask, did you get the NHL.com hat off of NHL.com or was this given to you?
This is my dad gets like a bunch of swag every year from the Caps and from other various sources, and every time I come home for Christmas he usually hands me like a duffel bag full of a bunch of stuff because he's got so much of it now he doesn't want any of it. And one of these years this was in the bag. I don't know where it came from, but he got it some way or another.
Your team Batman.
I guess so. No, it's I like to wear it sometimes, especially on the show, because it makes me look like a real live analyst or something, you know.
Yeah, spiffy. I like it.
I mean, I've heard better takes from you on this show than I've seen on NHL.com from a lot of
Yeah.
people, so got to
That's
give it
This
to you
is
fair.
there.
Yeah.
this is true. Well, we're gonna get into the thick of the episode, but before we do, I know Nick has a word from our friends over at Game Time.
Absolutely. You guys know there's nothing like watching hockey live, the chill of the ice, the sound of the puck, and screaming for your favorite team. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. I got my Caps tickets for this week on Game Time, and now you can too. Game Time's deals make it easier to find the best prices on the best seats, and you can even see a panoramic view from your seats before you pay. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code THPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
It is indeed game time, so we are going to start off with a pretty cool, I guess you could say, fact or tidbit that came over this past week. But Colorado Avalanche, we all know about their injury woes, and that has led to some, for lack of a better term, no names coming up in the lineup that a lot of people are searching on Hockey DB to try to learn about them. One of those did something pretty cool this week. Seventh round 2024 pick Nikita Prishapov, I believe, if I'm saying that correctly, became the first seventh round pick to make his NHL debut in the same year that he was drafted. I believe since 2006. NHL Network said 30 years, and then I believe BR Open Ice said that it was since '06. Don't quote me on which one's right. Regardless, it's been a very, very long time. There's not a lot of seventh round picks that you can point to. I know one of the most famous ones would be Patrick Hornquist. That's always one that gets brought up, but those
Wasn't
guys usually
Pavel
don't crack it.
Datsuk a seventh round pick?
I think he was too. I think he was a diamond in the rough.
It is crazy. Like there's not a lot of them in general, but there's like none that get drafted seventh and then play in the NHL that year. That is
Right.
pretty crazy.
Yes, it is wild. But I just wanted to give him a shout out and thought that was a pretty cool fact when I saw Rupper bring that up on NHL Network. I was like, wow, that is something.
Yeah, I actually have his numbers pulled up from the Q. He did 3 years in the Q with the Victoriaville Tigers, played about 63 to 65 games each year with them. And in his first season, 27 points in 65 games. Second season, 41 points in 63 games. And then his last season in the Q, 23-24, he had in 63 games, 67 points. So Guy is clearly adapted to wherever he's playing and continues to improve. So I think that's got to be a huge reason why they brought him up.
Yeah, shout out to him. Speaking of rookies, Will Smith, the San Jose Sharks highly touted prospect, scored his first and second NHL goals in the Sharks win over the Blackhawks on Halloween night. The rookie's two goals are his only points so far on the season. I know it's been a little bit of tough sledding over there in San Jose to start off, but shout out to the youngster for getting first and second career goals.
Yeah, I know he like this was kind of like publicized that he didn't have like a point in like 9 or 10 games or whatever it was, but and I think even in like his interview he was like, haha, yeah, finally or something like that. But happy for the kid and glad the Sharks are just putting the puck in the net.
That's all you can ask for as a Sharks fan. Doesn't
Right.
honestly, you just want to see some exciting hockey, which should be happening tonight or last night as you're listening to this. Macklin Celebrini will be returning to the lineup since sustaining an injury in his first career game. He will be playing against the Blue Jackets this evening or last night when you're listening to this. So we'll see what he does. I'm interested to see how he looks. Sharks are home underdogs. Kind of was debating taking them as a pick, but brought myself back to earth a little bit there. All right, I know this one's going to definitely cause some conversation, but David Pastrnak made his way in the news. He was benched in the third period of Sunday's win over Seattle. What are your guys' thoughts on this from Montgomery?
As his fantasy coach, we just felt that this was the best decision, for this player at this time. And, I talked with my fellow staff over at UC Sparros, the fantasy hockey ship that we run here, and we felt this was the best way to motivate this player. So hopefully it improves going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I saw, I think the first, what is it Puck Empire that does the weekly like NHL rumor things that you can swipe through? You guys know what I'm
I
talking
think
about?
so.
I saw what I what I think is like the first one of those of the year, and on there was that Bruins coach might be on the thinnest ice of any of the coaches right now, just because of how dire that situation seems to be and how they're not pleased upstairs with the way the team's been performing. So you wonder how something like that might contribute to that situation, right? It's going to go one of two ways. Either Pasta, you know, takes it as a nice little motivator there and he gets it together and maybe that helps the rest of the squad, or maybe it further divides things and team doesn't like it and Pasta doesn't like it, and that puts this dude on thinner ice. We'll see.
Yeah, it's interesting because this is definitely something he's done before. He called Pasta out,
Yep.
basically saying he needed him to score more right before
In
game
the
seven
playoffs.
in the first round last year. Who ends
Yep.
up scoring the overtime winner? David
Yep.
Pastrnak. So he's had it work in the past before. Do you look at this as sort of like a little bit of a Hail Mary right now for his job? I mean, for lack of a better word, because I think you nailed it. That situation is getting pretty dire right
I
now.
don't know. Here's the thing. Pasta took that really well, not only just because he scored the game winner next game, but he had comments about it. And he
Right.
said, and even in the that we saw this year, the face-off episode, like he talked about it again and said, like, no, that like I had no issue with that. I want my coach to like call me out on, when I'm not playing well. And then fast forward this year, it just happened with Marchand like 2 weeks ago. Like he said, and Marchand said the exact same thing in his thing. He was like, it's a shame that like we've gotten so soft that like coaches can't do their job and like call you out when you're not playing well like that.
Yeah, that's a good
So
point.
it does seem like that's the style of coaching that we have in Boston, and it does seem like the players are kind of okay with this, or even want it to be that way, like want to be held accountable. But I do wonder at what point does it become too much, and at what point do the players say like, hey, maybe I'm not the fucking issue, maybe I'm not playing well because you're not coaching well anymore, or you've lost the room, or whatever it is. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation to keep our finger on the pulse of in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I think management might get to a point too where they go, okay, we have to do something. We have to change something. And unfortunately, this is the most reasonable change we can make right now at this point in the season.
Yeah, we all know that's usually the first domino to fall, whether it's worthy of being the first or not.
It's an interesting situation in Boston, like you guys just said. Obviously, they do the offseason moves with Zadorov and Lindholm. I think everybody was like, "Up, home run. This is going to be typical Bruins right back in the playoffs." It's been a little bit of a struggle so far. Um, he is in a contract year, I believe, Montgomery. Like you can see the fire is being stoked, and it looks like it's getting more intense by the minute. There is one guy on the Bruins. I'm kind of wondering how his name hasn't come up. Because you look at Pastrnak, he's leading the team in scoring, maybe not having a phenomenal start to the year, but he's doing his job. Charlie McAvoy, not really sure what's going on with him, but I've probably watched two Bruins games in the last 2 weeks, so take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. I'm admitting that up front, but only 4 points through 13 games. I know he's not like the most elite offensive defenseman in the league, but as a guy of McAvoy's, caliber, you're looking at him usually being like a 50-point guy or something.
You should be getting assists at least as a defender. I don't care as much if you're not finding the back of the net, but if you're playing that many minutes, I think it's almost hard not to uh get some apples. Although, I mean, you could spin that in a number of ways, including like let's talk about Marchand for a second, who I said on last week's episode is underperforming so far this year. And maybe like, okay, McAvoy's obviously he's on the power play, right?
Yeah, I believe he's quarterback in that. Yeah.
So, and I'm sure Marchand is too.
Yeah.
So it's like, if that's not working, then none of it is like if the unit isn't working, then none of the
Yeah.
pieces are working either. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yes, you can look at McAvoy's stats and be like, what's this guy doing? But it's almost like the whole team right now because he's not getting assists because none of the guys he's passing the puck to are scoring. You know what I mean? Like to me, it's a whole team effort right now. And maybe that's another like tick in the column of reasons to fire the coach. I don't know. I'm not like you said, I haven't been watching like every Bruins game, so I don't necessarily know. I would love to hear from Bees fans and see what they think.
Yeah, I mean, he's on the ice for 20 minutes a night. This guy does not play less than 20 minutes, and you nailed it. If the unit's not working, if the guy who's out there for 23 minutes a night is not contributing, it's probably not going to go very well.
25th ranked power play so far. Worth noting.
Yeah, it's like maybe it's not his fault, but something is wrong if he's not getting assists because he's probably passing the puck fine. Like I'm sure that's not the issue. It's just, you know,
Yeah.
nobody's scoring when they should.
Well, and speaking of the Bruins, as we're recording this, they're taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs, who will be without Austin Matthews. That just came over. That's a little bit of a day-to-day injury, so something to watch for all the Leafs fans and or bettors out there. We had a great game on Sunday. The Winnipeg Jets and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Not sure if you listeners got a chance to watch that one, but it was a doozy. And the Jets topped the Lightning for their 11th win in 12 games. This team continues to just roll. It was a milestone night for Ehlers, who became the highest scoring Danish NHLer of all time with 474 points. And the Jets are still undefeated on the road. I mean, we've already talked about them, I think, 2 episodes in a row, but you can't not talk about them with how well they're playing.
Yeah, this team might be the real deal, guys. They're really good. They're firing on all cylinders right now. Kyle Connor, 9 goals in 12 games played. I mean, at what point I feel like this guy has almost gotten robbed in past years by not winning a Rocket Richard. I think he's absolutely capable of doing so. And I think, and if we're going to look at it in terms of a betting standpoint, is probably fantastic value to do it. Um, you know, I think someone we've almost, I don't want to say forgotten about, but I know he's had some injury issues through the years. Nick Ehlers is now the all-time leading point scorer for Danish players in the National Hockey League. So, I mean, they're off to a fantastic start. They have, I think, just something going right now that no one else does.
Kyle Connor has a point in every game. He's on a
Exactly.
Got a 12-game point streak to start the season. I mean, it's insane.
Did you guys see the interview with Eric Comrie the other day?
Beautiful.
That was I didn't get to watch it with volume on, but I saw everybody retweeting it. What happened?
Everyone was just saying they were like, "Holy shit, there's a guy in the NHL who doesn't give like bullshit hockey player answers." Like they were like, "Holy shit, he's actually got like a normal
It
personality."
was just like the
Like,
most like polite and excited interview I've ever seen. And maybe
yeah,
it's just because someone wants to talk to a goalie in Winnipeg that's not named Connor Hellebuck.
right,
But
right.
I
No,
mean,
he just the way he was talking, like I've never heard him talk before. I know he's been in the league for a little bit now, but like I've never heard an interview with him, and the way he was speaking was like you just started talking to some guy at the grocery store. You know what I mean? Like he's just some normal ass guy that was just like, oh yeah, like they asked him a question, he was fully giving like honest, detailed answers, not just like, oh yeah, well, the team played great and
right.
it was legit, and he was pretty funny too. What did he say at one point about something Hellebuck made him do? And he's like,
Smelling
"Oh,
salts.
oh, that's right. Yeah." They
Yeah.
asked him if he does smelling salts, and he's like, "Ah, man, I hate it, but Hellebuck makes me do it. So, it sucks, but I do it because he makes me."
It's like it's such a goalie interview too.
Yeah, it was.
Like he's thinking every answer like out
Yeah,
loud as he's like talking about it.
yeah.
It was
Now,
priceless.
dude's a gem. Love it.
Yeah, it's clicking in Winnipeg right now. I want to give a shout out to one guy. I was gonna wait till later in the episode because we are doing a little fantasy hockey chatter, but I'll just bring it up now. One guy I've been impressed with that I got to pick up, I think like a week or two ago, Cole Perfetti. He's looked great. Got that little bridge deal in the summer. I know he was probably one of those young guys who wanted to get that long-term deal done, but he gets that little, I think it was like a 2-year deal. This is the first of the two, and he's a point per game player right now. 11 points in 12 games, basically right there, and he's an assist machine lately.
Keep your eye on that one. I scooped him up last year off waivers, and he was like just unreal for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and then he fell off a cliff. So I'll be interested to see if he can find a little bit more consistency this year.
It's interesting with him because, he comes in, I think he was like the 10th pick in the 2020 draft when Laffy was taken first overall.
That sounds right.
Wow,
Um,
you have a good memory. That is correct.
and I think people kind of thought he was going to pan out a little bit sooner. I think there were some unfair comparisons to Cole Caulfield and how quickly he panned out for Montreal, but clearly the Jets have found something that they like in him. And obviously, I think the huge key is that he's locked up on this bridge deal, which is only going to help them for the next couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see how Winnipeg keeps doing this week. I want to look up before we move on what their schedule looks like this week, just to check. Give me one moment here, folks. All right, so they've got Utah the night we're recording this, so last night when you're listening. They've got Utah, Colorado on Thursday, Dallas on Saturday. So three decent matchups. I mean, they're playing some respectable teams there, especially that Dallas game on Saturday at 3 p.m. That should be a barn burner. I'm gonna tune into that one. But we are going to move on to the global series, the couple of games we had over in Finland, which actually did feature Dallas. The Panthers and the Stars split games in Finland. Barkov had 4 points. Lundell had a goal. Mikkola had an assist for Florida. All the Finnish guys were getting in on the scoreboard. Lindell, I know Heiskanen had an assist. All seven Finns on the rosters started the game. Just a super cool scene. Sucks it was on NHL Network. I know that will probably come up, but what was your guys' impressions of just the games in general?
It was really cool. I mean, loved seeing the reception and the treatment they got from the local team in that area. I think that was really cool. Obviously, it was well publicized that a couple of the players were from there. Want to give a quick shout out to Anton Lundell. I know Mac and I were talking about the Panthers last week. I feel like we got to mention this guy because he's a point per game player right now. 13 points, 13 games. His career high for goals was actually in his first season with the Panthers. He had 18 of them. He's got six already. I would expect him to blow by that at some point this year. Last year, he had 13 goals in 78 games. I mean, the fact that he's got 6 goals in 13 games now, dude is just cruising. So happy to see someone who's a little bit more of an unsung hero on the Panthers getting some of the spotlight.
Yeah, good point. He'll definitely pass that this year, barring any unfortunate injuries or setbacks. I love my favorite part about this whole thing was the seven Finns on the roster starting the game. Really cool to see that. Also, I love the whole like gold helmet situation that was going on in the practices leading up to it. Just a cool tradition to kind of honor how hockey is treated in that part of the world.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool tradition. For those that don't know, the leading scorer for each team in the Finnish league wears a gold helmet, which I think if you did in North America would just end up with whoever wears the gold helmet gets injured 4 to 6 weeks. But
Yeah, I
um,
think they should get to wear it like at practice. I don't think they should
yeah,
wear it like which is what they did in Finland too, right?
exactly.
Did they wear it for the game or no?
No, I don't think they wore it during the
Yeah.
game.
I think I could see that being a cool thing to do in North America for practice because it's almost like something to motivate your own teammates, right?
Right.
Like you see the guy out there and you're like, "Oh, look at freaking Goldilocks today," like he's out there skating around. But yeah, no, we don't want to put targets on guys' heads in the middle of the game.
I'm actually kind of for it now because maybe it'll get Vegas to have to stop wearing theirs.
There we go.
Chrome
That's a good
domes.
point. Yeah, okay,
Right.
in that case, fuck it. Let's do it.
Yeah, Florida takes both those games. I mean, the Panthers, man, like I thought maybe there would be a little bit of a hangover. They're first in their division. Are they first in the NHL? I'm gonna actually check this real quick. Well, they got 19 points. They are only behind the Winnipeg Jets. They're second in the NHL, and they end up winning both games by 2 goals, cover the puck line. That team's just a wagon. I cannot believe that they're off to this good of a start because I really did think maybe after a cup hangover it affects them, but no, they pick up right where they left off. It's uh it's an interesting time for, I guess you could say, Panthers fans, starting off that good. But speaking of teams who we maybe didn't think would start off this good, the Minnesota Wild. Boys, who saw this coming? I know we love to pick on the Minnesota Wild. Every season we say it's going to be the same thing. I know we use the word purgatory team a lot. I say that they're always in the middle. They're never bottom feeders, never at the top of the food chain. Well, they are 8-1-2 through their first 10 games of the season, matching their best start in franchise history with 18 points. Kirill Kaprizov is tied for the league lead in scoring with 21 points in 11 games, and my fantasy goalie, who I will gladly suck off a little bit shortly, Philip Gustafson. He looks great. What do you guys think? Is Minnesota maybe for real this year? Is it finally the time where they shut us up?
Well, I'll say that's looking like a really nice steal for you. I know right after the draft, we were all talking about how your goaltending might be in trouble in fantasy. And yeah, he's been probably one of the top three goalies you could have in fantasy so far this year, I'd say. Um, I don't know. This is a really interesting thing that I didn't expect to happen. Seeing the Wild start this strong, and that's not a knock. That's not saying they're not a good team, but I just didn't think they'd be quite this hot out of the gates. Can it last? If that's the question, I mean, I don't know. I think that division is going to end up a lot different than people thought at the beginning of the year. I think there's the whole Colorado thing, right? Where a lot of people probably have them winning that division. That's not going to happen.
Right.
They'll be lucky to make the playoffs at this point, Colorado. I know it's early, but I really think I've said it on the last couple episodes. I don't think this is a short-term thing for Colorado, and I think they'll be lucky to make it at this point. So with that being said, you're kind of doing the math in your head. It's almost like a Caps thing or a Islanders thing or whatever in the Metro. You're trying to figure out if you're going to get in, then who does that mean isn't going to get in? And so if you're the Wild, I think maybe coming into the season, you're worried about like, well, Colorado's a shoe in, you're trying to count who's definitely in. And so now you're looking at it a little bit differently when you can maybe say, well, we're for sure going to be above Colorado. I mean, again, I know it's early, but I feel fully confident in saying the Wild should finish above the Avs.
Oh, I completely agree. I think if people are saying what is going on with the Colorado Avalanche right now is a short-term problem, they're not fully understanding the situation that's going on there. I don't anticipate that team making the playoffs. I think they might even go sell at the deadline. I don't know. I think the other thing helping Minnesota right now is everyone was thinking Nashville was going to get into the postseason this year, and they are
Right. That's
also
another
at the
one.
bottom of that barrel. So you're probably looking at the rest of that division going, all right, we're better than Chicago. We're
Yep.
playing better than St. Louis right now. I don't know if they're necessarily better than them
Yeah.
on paper.
Yeah.
Dallas is probably a lock for the postseason.
Yeah.
Utah's your wild card right now.
Dallas should win that division with everything that we know right now.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think that Minnesota definitely a playoff team. I would have probably said they had a I would have probably pegged them as a wild card before the year started, but I think they should be able to make the top three in the division. I like what they're doing. It's gonna obviously be the age old question: can they actually win a playoff round
Right.
once we get there? But uh, yeah, they look great so far. There's nothing not to like.
And I'll go ahead and say this now. If they make the postseason and they make it out of the first round, massive success of a season right there.
Sure. Yeah. No, absolutely. I agree.
Not sure if I'm as down on the Avs as you two, but you know, that's for another day. Um, Gustafson, I said I'd talk about him, so now I will. He leads the NHL in goals against average. He's third in save percentage. He's won four of his last five. And I was just reminded today, I guess I subconsciously always knew this. You know who drafted Philip Gustafson, sorry, who could really use some quality goaltending right
Oh
now?
shit, no way.
My Pittsburgh Penguins. Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
I looked it up today because I saw it on Twitter. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right.
Who
And
traded
yes,
him?
indeed. I'm sorry.
Who traded him? Like what GM?
I believe,
Is
was
that
it
a Hextall
Rutherford?
move?
It might have been Rutherford.
It'd be
I'll have to
really
look.
funny if it was a Hextall move.
Yeah, I can't remember. If someone wants to look that up, I'm got too many tabs open at the
Yeah, I got
moment.
you.
But yeah, I just thought that was funny because now the two wild goalies are Fleury and Gustafson, which could have, probably been our goalie tandem at this point if Fleury would have been a lifer and we kept our draft picks, but doesn't pan out that way. Um, I think Kirill Kaprizov is definitely at this point like a top three Hart Trophy candidate. I'd say that's fair.
I think that people don't fully grasp how good this guy is. Like
He's
I
yeah,
really don't, and I'm not sure what it is because it's not the market. It's not like this guy plays in like Columbus and like not enough people are watching it. Like he plays in like one of the biggest US hockey markets, like if not the biggest, probably right up there with Detroit or something like that. But yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like it seems to me this guy is still not really getting like the respect he deserves from like your average NHL fan.
yeah, and maybe it has something to do with the fact that like he's really the name and there's not another one with him maybe. I don't like you look at like the Tampa
Hmm.
like oh Kucherov's the big name but they've got Point, they've got Gensel, they've got these guys where
Yeah,
people are like
Stamkos before
yeah,
this
I
year.
feel like Minnesota they got Boldy, right? It kind of I mean
Yeah.
I it's maybe the
And
closest
and
name.
Boldy is also an excellent player. Like he's
Yeah.
another one who I would argue probably doesn't get the respect he deserves. Not on the same level as Kirill, but
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, but he's
interesting.
nasty.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'm back. So on the 23rd of February 2018, the Penguins traded Gustafson to the Ottawa Senators alongside defenseman Ian Cole, a 2018 first round pick, a 2019 third round pick in exchange for forward Derek
Derek Brassard.
Brassard.
Fuck my
Ew.
hat. Worst trade ever. That was
And that
that
Why?
was a Jim Rutherford
God.
gem right there.
Oh
Why
my
is why
God.
is Brassard always involved in like the worst trade ever? He was in the Zabinajad trade
He
too.
was.
Ottawa,
Dude,
yeah, didn't Ottawa trade Mika for Brassard?
Didn't they trade for him twice?
they might have.
They might
God,
have.
dude, that after that trade, I was like, we're gonna three-peat. We've got our third line center.
Uh,
Like that's the guy. And
he was not good with you guys, was he?
it's horrible. It was
Yeah.
so terrible. It's one of the
Does
worst.
anyone did you three-peat that year?
Shut up, Nick.
Yeah, I'm
We're
trying to
gonna
remember. I can't remember who won that year.
back to Minnesota, please.
Somebody really cool.
Let's give them their dues here. Last thing I want to say about the Wild, John Hines. He got I think what he got kicked to the curb from was it Nashville or Jersey? If my memory's all over the place, can't
Both,
remember.
right?
Na
It was
Nash
more.
Nashville, I think.
I think it was
Yeah.
Nashville, and he gets hired. I think last November after Minnesota cans Evanson, and this is his first full season behind the bench, full training
Everson.
camp. I'm sorry,
Dean Everson.
Evason. Sorry,
Yeah. Put put some respect on my boy's name.
I apologize deeply. Full training camp, and the boys are humming. So shout out John. I think he maybe with like Carberry, maybe throw those two in a little bit of Jack Adams chatter, but
Yeah, I think those two have to be the front runners. I Does anyone know when those contracts, like those 13-year contracts, like stop getting paid out by Minnesota? Because like if they somehow ended up winning a Stanley Cup while they were still paying those players,
Yeah.
like that would be
Wow.
hilarious.
That's worth looking into. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but
I think my internet's running slow right now. I think it's in 2 years.
Okay.
I think. Don't quote me on that. Internet's slow. Doesn't matter. We're
Wild versus Capitals Stanley Cup final. Book it now. That's what Nick
Sign
is
me
telling
up.
you.
and apparently Colorado's not making the playoffs either, which I'm not
They
sure I buy
aren't.
that one.
Yeah, they're
Well,
not.
they might, but they're not finishing top three division. I can promise you that.
Sure. Okay, we're gonna move on to the discussion portion of the episode, but before we do, I know Mac has a word from our friends over at DraftKings.
Sure do. The quest for the Stanley Cup has started. The puck has dropped on the 24-25 NHL season. Get in on all the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. It's super easy for first-timers to get started. Try betting on something simple like picking a team to win. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, select your team, and place your first bet. And if you are new to DraftKings, listen up. New customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms.
I know you guys are chomping at the bit to talk about this. So the Washington Capitals,
Down, boy, down.
uh, the Washington Capitals, they are
So I'm
looking
wearing
really
my
good.
Jay Beagle jersey right now so I can bark.
So, so rather than saying why they're so good, I think what a lot of people are struggling to understand is why are they so much better than last
Why
season?
they're not bad.
Yeah, like because
Yeah.
I think we all kind of, well, except Caps fans, but like non-Caps fans went into last year, they make the playoffs, kind of fluky. I think we can all admit it. They get the Rangers, and everyone's like, yeah, this is probably an ass kicking, and it was. And then now they look great. Aren't they leading the Metro right now? I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but I
They're
think they're,
not leading the Metro right now. That's
oh,
the Rags, I think.
okay.
It's by a point or two. They're
Yeah.
right up there.
First thing I go to when, we're answering the question, why is this team so much improved from last year, is the passing. And that's the best thing I've seen out of this team to start the year is not the goal scoring. Goal scoring is great. I love that it's up. Franchise record to start the season. That's incredible. But breakout passes, cross ice passes are actually getting on tape this year, which last year they were only getting on tape for people wearing white sweaters going the other way. So that was a problem. But yeah, I think, guys like Dubois, we've talked about Mangiapane. Those guys have fit in great. I know Chikrin and Roy looked good. I know we only saw one game out of Matt Roy, hoping to get him back soon, but um,
He should be back next game. Like by the time you're
right.
listening to this, I'm pretty sure he'll be back.
That passing, like I said, the Carberry system, I lump that into, defensively, the forwards look a lot better, not just the defense. I think the forwards look a lot better. And then Alexei Protas is just like a complete man child right now. It looks like he put on 15 pounds of muscle in the offseason. It looks like he got like 25% faster and he's shooting the puck. And the dude has a nasty
Yeah.
release.
Yeah, so for me, it's all the things you just said for sure, but I think like it would be easy to say like, oh well, they added a bunch of people that are good, Mangiapane, PL Dubois, Chikrin, Roy, we got Logan Thompson, whatever. You can name all these people, Duhaime, Radish. But for me, it's two guys that were here last year that are just so clearly have taken a ginormous step, not just because they're scoring goals, but they are like they look like full-time NHL players. And that's Connor McMichael and Alexi Protas. They both are like I'm blown away by the way that those two guys have played all the Caps games this year. And again, it's not just because they're fine in the back of the net. They definitely do have some good offensive chemistry on the lines they're on. Uh, McMichael being on that second line, and then Protus playing with Ovi and Strom. But I think that they are just playing a really strong 200-foot game. I don't know if it's just they've bought into the Carberry system now in the second year or whatever it is. Maybe they just ate a lot of Wheaties over the summer or whatever, but they look fucking good. And I think like seeing those two younger guys take that big of a leap is kind of pulling a lot of the weight for the team right now.
That's a great point. But Michael has looked unbelievable. I would say it looks
Yeah.
like he's almost like a veteran second or first line scoring winger in the NHL right
And he
now.
he just looks like he's having a blast out there. Like he almost like the last like couple seasons, you could tell he's playing like he's fighting for a spot in the lineup. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like he scores a goal and he's like almost not excited because you can just see he's almost like taking a big sigh of relief, like, oh, okay, maybe that means I won't get scratched next game, like that kind of thing. And it's like you just see him skating out there and he just looks really free, really, really unbothered, really comfortable out there. And when he scores goals, he's laughing, he's smiling, he's just, it's like he's been there before. It's just like he's up to the task.
Yeah, he's got 12 points in 11 games. Guy through 80 games last year had 18 goals. Through 11 games, he's got seven this year. I mean, he is on a
He's
scorching pace. Just had a kid, so congrats to him. That's awesome. It's crazy to think that so many young players on this Caps team are dads. Like Strome's got two kids. Mikey just
Yeah.
had one. I think Alexiev just had
Yeah, he
one.
did.
Yeah.
all right,
Kids
boys,
are
let's get
growing up.
popping.
Daddy
Set,
Mikey.
settle down.
Let's get popping. No, but McMichael's definitely taking a step. I mean, as a Pens fan, just who gets the local televised Caps games, you can tell he looks really, really good. I think him and Strom are definitely the future.
And the other thing that's really interesting too about this team is like so far, honestly, the goalies haven't looked amazing,
Yeah.
but we're still winning games. So like if they can find a little, if one of those guys can kind of go on a tear here and start earning the lion's share of games, even just for a couple weeks or something like that, then that kind of maybe motivates the other one to want to play better when he gets chances. Not saying they've been awful or anything, but um it's mostly the goals that have been like winning us games. We haven't had like a ton of like really, really sound defensive games, I'd say. And again, we've been missing Chikrin last couple games, been missing Roy the whole season, basically. So I will say they've each Lindgren and Thompson, they've each had maybe like one really good game so far. But I think that there's another level for both of those guys, and I'm still kind of waiting for both of them to find their like their actual groove. But that being said, the fact that we're what 8-3-0 or something like that, and I'm saying the goaltending hasn't been that good, that's a good sign.
Yeah,
It's a
you'd
great
like
sign.
them to get to a point where they're winning games not 4-3, but maybe 4-1, 4-2 I can live with. Two other points I want to highlight. The fourth line has been incredible. The
Yes,
production from the
unreal.
fourth line is amazing. Dowd, Duhaime, Radish. Love that they bring in Radish, especially with the junior connections he has with Strome, anyways.
Total energy line.
Absolutely. And then one other player I think that has just looked fantastic to watch has been Rasmus Sandin. Not only with the defensive plays he's making, but I could watch that guy skate for hours.
Yeah, he kind of seems like he's taken a little bit of a step too, and I
Yeah.
feel like don't forget he's pretty young too, so like that's a guy who's still developing his game for sure. But there were some times last year where I was a little like, I don't know
Yeah.
if I'm sold on this guy. Like he had some good moments, but
He also played hurt last year.
he did, but
Um,
he made me a little nervous at times last year. You know what I mean? I
Definitely.
don't I feel a lot more confident watching him this year than
And
I
he seems
have
more
in the past.
confident this year, which I think
Mhm.
is huge. And I don't know whether that's hey, I'm buying into the Carberry system. I don't know if it's that plus a combination of I got the hell out of Toronto. Who knows?
Yeah, no, the Caps look great, no doubt about it. So, just wanted to give those two their little soapbox there to just excite all the Caps fans that are listening because I know that there's a lot of them.
And excite you. You love the Caps.
I love the Caps. Yeah, absolutely. My favorite team, best uniforms in the league. Uh, we'll move on.
For six
Another,
games this year.
yes, we
True,
will.
including tomorrow night.
Yep.
Is it tomorrow? Oh, hey, tidbit. Tomorrow is in the night that people will listen to this.
Yeah,
Yes.
against the Predators.
Bet the Caps. You have to bet. You bet uniforms in this league, okay? That's what you do.
Yeah.
There's a
That
couple times.
Ovi goal.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He has insane numbers in the Screagles.
Yeah.
They asked him about it today, and he was like, "I mean, hey, it's the best uniform in sports, but I just play the game. It doesn't matter where I'm wearing."
There's two alternate black uniforms that you bet. It's the Sabres goat head and it's the
Yep.
Caps Skriegel. Those are
That's
the
a good
two.
that's a good bet right there.
So you got to ride it.
And there's the Caps uniform that you don't ever
Yep.
bet, and it's the fucking navy blue W jerseys that should be called the navy blue L jerseys.
They're not gonna wear those this year,
I
right?
don't think so. I
Good.
don't think Fanatics made
That's
them.
why they're playing better.
Yeah, right.
They're done, I believe. Let's move on to the Islanders. They've got a bunch of injuries stacking up. Second to last in the Metro right now. It's not really looking too great for them. Barzell is out 4 to 6 weeks on LTIR. Adam Pelech, same timetable as Barzell. Mike Riley and Romanov, both day to day. Duclair, we already mentioned that in a previous episode, but 4 to 6 weeks, brutal. Are they screwed?
Big time.
Toast.
Yep. So let me ask you guys this. Who's more toast, the Islanders or the Avs?
The Islanders.
See, I'm actually going to say the Avs because of the goaltending the Islanders can at
That
least fall back on.
that's exactly what I was just gonna say because honestly, like you could argue that Sorokin he's played pretty well this season, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's
Uh,
the team in front of him that's looked pretty bad.
yeah.
I don't have it in front of me, but I'm pretty sure he has like pretty solid numbers this year so far. Um, and in general, I mean, whether the numbers agree or not, Sorokin and Varley, I have way more confidence in that tandem. I mean,
They can't score.
The Avalanche just signed what's his face? Who did they just sign off waivers from God damn it. We talked about it last week, Nick.
Kakinen.
Yes, they signed Kakinen off waivers because Georgiev and Ananen can't stop a beach ball right now.
Onanen.
That was
Ananen.
I know. They can't score though.
Yes, I agree. I think they're
Well,
both fucked.
Matt Barzell's out 4 to 6 weeks. Islanders goal scoring is about to go through the roof. They're fine.
Yeah,
They
right.
can't they just can't score.
I
I
will
don't
never get over when he was in the All-Star thing doing the passing drill, but the thing he was passing into was a net. And Nick, what was your joke? Like, well, he's not gonna do it then because
I
it's
just started recording on Snapchat, which I sent to both of you, and he just missed the net like 20 times in a row.
well, it's because it's a net.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't shoot.
Nick,
Anyway, they are fucked. But I don't know. They always seem to find a way to like figure it out. and at least be on the bubble by the end of the season, like right there within a couple points.
There were some Fire Lou chants that broke out at a game last week, just
I don't
saying.
blame him. That
Really?
I don't blame him for.
And by
Nick,
chance, I mean like three people in the upper deck, but
Nick, I'm surprised you're giving up on the Avalanche as easily as you are. I know this is an Islanders segment, but I expect it from Mac. I'm a little surprised from you, just given the Nate Dogg bias I know you and I share.
Yeah, I mean, I love the guy. But we know that, all too well, unfortunately, one player, you know, it kind of works
Makar,
with the Oilers, but like I look at the Avs like bottom six forwards and I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Harry, I compared them to the Oilers last week because I said that you know, the Oilers have done this thing for years now where they've got like three amazing players and like nobody else. And that's kind of what the Avs are trying to do
kind of
right
what
now.
they
And
have.
I understand that those two or three amazing players are some of the best in the entire league, but at a certain point, if you can't stop a puck, that's first of all my biggest concern. Like nobody can play goalie in that organization right now.
It's
Um
fair.
and yeah, you've got McKinnon. Yeah, you've got McCarr. Yes, you've got Rantanen, but even he has been streaky so far this year. They've got to get somebody back. Like until they get Lehkonen or Val or somebody that can consistently like put in some more work in that top six, I I seriously think they're not a playoff team.
So they're getting Val back soon,
Soon.
apparently.
And
That's what I've
Lehkonen
that's
came
what I've been
back.
hearing.
So
And
Oh,
that's
Lehkonen is back. Okay,
my
my
problem
mistake.
with the Val thing is like how long has it been? Like
Yeah,
I would assume they wouldn't bring him back until he's game ready, but even still coming back from something like that, you think is going to take at least a
might take
little
a
bit
bit.
to get to up to NHL game speed.
it's
All
an
right, if
interesting
Val's
tale.
almost back and Lehkonen is back, maybe they are. Maybe they're a wild card team. But
It
I
I
do think
will
that
I will say it's probably a little bit early to say that they're completely fucked, both the Avalanche and the Islanders.
I
No,
mean
we
it's
can.
more just fun
Islanders
to
are
do it
fucked.
because I can't wait to like see the comments of being like, "What'd you say about my team?"
I can pronounce the Islanders a little bit fucked because you start getting around Christmas time and you're not doing too hot in the standings. It's hard to recover from that. I got a lot more faith in McKinnon, Makar, and Rantanen to somehow carry them
That's
into a
fair.
wild card spot than Sorokin or Varlamov. But it's
That's
what do you
fair.
think goes farther? You look at the Avs, they've let in the most goals in the league. They can't
Yeah.
stop a puck. You look at the Islanders, they have scored the second fewest goals in the league
Yeah.
other than
It's
Anaheim.
opposite problems. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
complete it's like crazy. So I guess if you're watching on YouTube or something, leave a comment. What do you think? Avalanche or Islanders? Who has a better chance of turning the
And
ship
make sure
around?
you leave one that says like, "You guys are fucking idiots, and you don't.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched a game in your
Those are
life?"
the only ones we accept, actually. If you
Yeah. Make
comment
sure
anything
you.
else, it won't show up.
Yeah, we only see it if you're really angry. So
Feeds the algorithm. We love it. We're gonna move on to our last discussion topic. Just wanted to hear what your guys' thoughts are in this. The IIHF is working on a proposal to include 3v3 hockey as a separate sport for the upcoming Olympics. What do we
why?
think?
Why?
I'd rather
I
them
kind of
focus on just keeping normal ass hockey with NHL players at the Olympics to
Yeah.
start with, and then we can go into this. But
Yeah.
I totally agree. I thought when I first read, I was like, ooh, and then I like read the article and I kind of thought about it more. I'm like, this just I doesn't do it. Why
three
would I
on
watch
three
this?
roller,
Fucking
sure.
stupid.
Now you're talking.
Like 3-on-3 roller for the summer.
At the Summer Olympics, sure.
Yeah, like
Fuck
if
it.
we're
Let's
gonna
get
do
hockey in
three on
both
three
Olympics.
basketball,
Yeah.
give me like a side by side in LA, like a chain link fence in the middle of like downtown LA. One's a basketball court, one's a hockey court.
That'd be sick.
Yeah,
Get
And
John
you've got
Strava
you've
on the
got
team.
a prop Joe with a clipboard and a suit out there for all
right.
you fans of the.
Superimpose all the Rocket Power characters there for like a Nickelodeon broadcast. They can call it. Tito's there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got Timmy Turner on the sidelines
There we
getting
go.
slimed and shit. Hell yeah.
I just don't really understand what they're trying to do with this. It's this exact same sport, just a different number of players. It doesn't change anything.
Did you
I
guys hear
guess.
the Simpsons are gonna call like a football game or something
It
like that?
did.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I'd like to
apparently
hear.
Bart and Homer are actually gonna be playing in the game at certain points.
Whoa.
So
Now here's a question.
Yeah, what's up?
When the Summer Olympics are on, and let's keep it for athletic purposes only here. Are you more likely to watch beach volleyball or the full court like gym volleyball? It kind of goes in the same breath a little bit, right?
I mean, yes. I actually think that the beach volleyball is cooler because it's two people. Like, I think every time I watch the court, the full thing with what is it, six people on the
Yeah,
court,
Sure.
it's like, what are we even doing? Like, nobody misses the ball.
everyone's six
Every
foot nine.
Yeah, it just like I don't know. It goes on so long. It's way more impressive to me, I guess, is what it really boils down to.
Also,
Watching like how
running,
long the two people can keep it
jumping,
going.
landing
Yeah,
on
you're just
sand is
standing in
so
the
much
same
harder.
spot, sticking out one of your limbs. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, good for you, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. Sign me up for beach.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because like same sport, but they changed the landscape a little bit. Not
Yeah.
sure if
I
it's
mean, how much of the 3-on-3 basketball did you guys watch this summer?
Nick, ask me how much NBA
Zero.
basketball I've
Yeah,
watched in the last
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I love basketball. I didn't watch like more than one possession, and it was only
Yeah,
because Jimmer Fredette was doing it.
yeah, fair, fair. Yeah, I just wanted to see what your guys' reactions were. Um, all right, we're gonna move on to the gambling slash fantasy hockey segment of the episode. But before we do, we obviously got to remind you that you need to go download Prop Tracker. Prop Tracker is your home for player prop research and finding outlier bets for NHL, NBA, NFL, and more. Once you find a bet you like, start tracking it to get notified on its progress, like shots, rebounds, or receptions. Go to proptrackerapp.com/emptybetters to try a free month of the Android or iOS app. Alrighty, let's dive into it. So we already said one stat that I want to mention. The Winnipeg Jets undefeated on the road still 6-0. So if they're on the road, decent value there. Flip the script a little bit. Vegas undefeated at home this season. They have a perfect 8-0 record at T-Mobile. They also have yet to win a road game this season with a record of 0-3.
This is
So
weird. Like,
the
when was the
Vegas
last
flu.
time this happened?
This is the Vegas flu. Like, remember when Vegas came into the league and everybody was saying, "Oh, they're going to win all their home games because everyone's going to be hungover." Well,
I can think of a couple they didn't.
fair enough. Thank you for reminding us of that, Nicholas. But yeah, it's an interesting stat for Vegas. I agree. One guy I want to shout out, former Penguin, which Penguin's Twitter is not shy to point out. Mikael Granlund on San Jose. He's been a stud this season. Not sure if
He
people are
has.
hip. He on your fantasy team?
No, he's on my buddy Matt Stafford's team though, and I've been keeping an eye on him and he looks great.
That team's pretty loaded too.
He's raking right now. Over a point per game on arguably the worst team in the league. Something to be said for that. William Eklund, Tyler Toffoli, usually the two line mates. Obviously they mix and match lines a little bit, but those guys are reaping the benefits as well. So keep an eye on some Granlund props. He's been pretty hot lately.
He's I would say he's definitely like one of the more underrated journeyman point producers in the NHL. He's bounced around a little bit. He was in Minnesota, Nashville, Pittsburgh, now in San Jose, but he does produce wherever he goes.
And do you have his stats pulled up? I'm pretty sure in
I
Pittsburgh he
do.
was terrible, but
Yeah, that's
was
kind
short.
of the only one where it didn't work. 21 games, 1 goal, 4 assists, 5 points.
Mm,
Small sample size. He didn't get to like actually hang
it's
out there. Plus,
Yeah.
like nobody likes playing for the Penguins, so
And
it's
that was
understandable.
that I think that was a deadline or mid-season thing. He went from the
deadline.
Preds to the Pens.
We like to call that a Mike Sullivan sandwich,
What
where he
did you
just
guys give
He
up for
got there and
that?
he was like, I guess I'll eat like 27 orders of Permanente Brothers and just hang out for a couple weeks. And it's not the worst thing ever, but
what'd you say, Nick? I'm sorry.
What did you guys give up for Granlund? Do you remember?
We got him from Nashville, right? Um,
Oh, I have it. Never mind. Traded from Nashville to Pittsburgh for a second round pick in the 2023 draft.
I actually would love to see who that turned out to be, but
yeah, I
I'm
would
not
love
gonna.
to know who that was
I'm not.
too.
I'm not gonna.
Kalen Lind.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So
Why
whatever.
That's
not?
what Hockey DB says. So
Either way, too many fries on the sandwich for Granlund when he was in Pittsburgh. So understandable, buddy.
Let's chat a little fantasy hockey. You guys got any studs and or duds that you think are worth mentioning to the listeners?
yeah, my stud is going to be Joel Eriksson Ek. We've talked about the Wild on this show already, but this guy is basically a lock for 2 fantasy points, solid every night, no more, no less. I mean, honestly, sometimes he does get more, but has just been so consistent, which, if you know anything about fantasy hockey, is something you chase the entire season. So happy to have him on my team again this year.
I was gonna say somebody who can get like 2 fantasy points every night is way more appealing to me than a guy who's gonna get me like 0.5 most nights and then occasionally come through with like 5.5 or
So
something like
much
that.
better.
I
Even
love
better if they're a defenseman.
yes. No, you already know I love my defenders who can like block a bunch of shots and don't score a single goal all year. So
What about any more studs, duds?
well, let's do the studs first.
I guess for mine, I am gonna go, and I don't think this is gonna come as a surprise to most people, but I'm just shocked at how well he's done. I've got Rasmus Anderson. This dude's been an absolute gamer for me. He's second in fantasy defenseman points. I had no clue that he was gonna be quite this good. I know he's already locked up on most people's teams, but maybe for betting purposes, he has 4 goals and 7 assists so far in the year. Probably get him around like plus 120 on a nightly average for an assist or a point. Keep an eye on that. For my dud, I'll just lead it off. Anthony
Wait,
Beauvillier.
let me do my stud.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you didn't do yours.
Yeah.
I thought you read yours. My bad.
No, I was just commenting on Nick's real quick, but yeah, I've loved my Giroux pick so far. Last 6 games, he's got 4 goals, 3 assists. He's got 15.9 total fantasy points across those 6 games, so pretty nice. But when we did this last week, I kind of realized that my goal for this segment is actually to tell you somebody who's been doing really well that you actually might be able to get off the waiver wire. So to fulfill that. Take a look in your league if Nick Dowd is still available right now. You wouldn't think this is really a fantasy hockey kind of player, but his last 7 games, he's got 4 goals, 1 assist, but he's also got 13 shots on goal, 13 hits, 6 block shots, and he's got almost as many fantasy points as Giroux across about the same amount of games, 15.1 fantasy points across his last 7 games. And I scooped him off waivers just a couple days ago. So take a look. He might be worth a pick.
I think with how well that fourth line in DC is producing right now, that's a home run pick.
Yeah, I can't deny that. I'm gonna put this guy on my dud list. Maybe scoop him up if he starts heating up because I think he could. Anthony Beauvillier on the Pens. The first week of the season, he looked great on that Sid line, and then he fell off a cliff. So I've kind of not been starting him. Might even drop him. I took a gamble on him playing against the Islanders as we're recording this since it's his former team, but in general, just not great performance lately.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you there. I'm going to go ahead and it's a little bit tough for me to call this a dud, but Lawson Krause, Utah Hockey Club, that guy is usually similar to Eriksson Ek, 2 points every night. He's fallen off. It's kind of like I think he's around like 1.4, but there's nights where it's just not clicking for him. So hopefully those numbers pick up soon.
I have a little bit of a rant for my dud here. I thought I was going to get like a really nice steal in the draft when I snagged this guy. I thought he was about to have a really good year. Grabbed Pavel Menchikov on the Ducks, and I think like the second game of the year, he had a 2 goal game. All the announcers were raving about him for the Ducks, being like, "Yeah, like this is what you can expect from this guy." He has not had a single point since. He plays between 19 and 25 minutes per night, and he doesn't have a single assist all year. Like, what the
That's
fuck is
crazy.
this guy doing?
That's crazy.
He literally played 25 minutes the other night. Like, what the fuck are you doing? The least amount of minutes he's played in any game all year is 19 minutes. That's insane.
Well, actually, now going back to the Islanders chatter, when we were talking about they can't score. The Ducks are dead last in
Yeah.
goals scored. So I
Yeah.
guess
So I guess it's kind of like the McAvoy thing I said earlier. I guess if there's nobody to pass the puck to that's going to find the back of the net, then maybe that's not your fault. But I don't know, buddy. What the fuck? Last 6 games, 0 goals, 0 assists, 9 shots on goal. Here's the thing that really bugs me. Yes, you can say like maybe you're not finding the back of the net. Maybe you're like your guys can't score goals. You are a defenseman, and in the last 6 games, you have hit 3 people. You have 3 hits in
oof,
6 games. What the fuck are you doing? And
cardio.
especially if you're the Ducks and you're not scoring goals, you're playing defense, right? So people are like in your defensive zone with the puck and you
Correct.
should hit them. Like, I'm sorry, and you're playing 25 minutes a night.
Block shots? Does he block shots?
Not really. Like he literally is averaging less than 1 fantasy point per game across the entire season. I think he missed like 2 games because he was sick or something like that. But he's still played like 10 games and he's averaging less than 1 fantasy point per game. And he had a game where he had like 5.5 points because he scored 2 goals. I
That's
don't get
wild.
it. I don't. Yeah, it's
Wasn't
unbelievable.
wasn't there another Ducks player that you wanted to talk about how they're just like really, really bad this year?
Oh yeah. You did send something in the group chat.
Yeah.
Who was that? I'm
Z.
forgetting.
Z.
Oh, true. I did want to say that. Yeah, imagine going from being a cover athlete on NHL to what he's got like a goal and like a couple assists or something like that.
Yeah,
He
it's interesting. I mean, he's slotted at third line center according to Daily Faceoff. I don't know how accurate that is, but
Yeah.
the numbers are not there. And I think you make a great point. Cover athlete. That's wild.
Yeah, that's insane.
it, I'm actually looking up. This is crazy. I know Mac's doing trivia, so I'm not stealing his thunder, but I have to ask this question. So we were talking about Zegers just now, and I remember we all recorded live in Nick's basement around that time of year when USA won gold and nobody thought they would because they were playing stacked.
Hamburger.
Yes.
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 Uh Trevor Zegras, I thought he'd be a lot higher than this because I remember he had a ton of points. He had 18 points in 7 games in that 2021 World Junior run. And I remember
Wow.
thinking this kid's going to be sick.
Yeah.
Do you know, and maybe you guys do, and I'm way off, but do you know who holds the record for most points in a World Junior tournament?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course Nick knows.
Doesn't he play for the St. Louis Blues now?
Uh,
Or
okay,
am I
so
thinking of the former record holder?
it might, this is U20.
Okay.
Is World Juniors U18 or U20? I thought it was U20.
U20.
Yeah, it's E20.
U20. This is an old name. You definitely know this player, but I'm
Braden
shocked.
Shen.
Where is Braden Shen? He is right above Zegras. Right above Zegras. 12th
Hmm.
most all time.
Really? I don't know why I thought
Really?
he had that record.
A lot. Bedard is the only player who's in recent memory top 10. He's number 4 all time.
So this is a guy who's
Peter
retired.
Forsberg.
Peter Forsberg.
Oh, okay.
31 points in
Yeah.
7 games.
Okay,
It was like
that's
when he was like,
just
okay, like I'm
dumb.
NHL good and you're children.
That's
Second with
actually crazy. I didn't know that.
and second, I guess him and Naslin were teammates both in 93. Naslin's second all time. He has 24. So that's just wild.
Wasn't I think that was the tournament where he ended up doing the Forsberg move, which got put on that postage stamp in Sweden, which went like insanely, I don't viral if you can call it back then, but
Yes.
didn't he have one game where it was like he had 12 points or something absurd like that?
I'm gonna assume the answer is yes, because if you're averaging over 4 points per game, which is crazy to say, that's probably likely, but
That's wild.
little tidbit there. All right. We can move on to trivia and then we'll get out of here. But I know Mac has a word from our friends over at Raycon.
Sure do. The most exciting thing about Black Friday and Cyber Monday is getting an amazing deal you wouldn't normally get, except with Raycon, because with Raycon, you can get an amazing deal on premium audio every day of the year. But that doesn't mean they're not having any sales for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Far from it. They're actually doubling down on their amazing value by offering my viewers up to 30% site wide. Looking for a Black Friday or Cyber Monday deal you'll appreciate every single day? Try Raycon's Everyday Earbuds. Their latest model includes plenty of new features that make them even more of a must have for any audio lover. For example, they now feature a 32-hour battery life and multi point connectivity that lets you pair with two devices at once. Raycons start at just half the price as the other guys, so they're already an incredible deal, even before you factor in their offer of up to 30% off site wide. It's time to save big for Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Go to buyraycon.com/THPN today to get up to 30% off site wide. That's right, you'll get up to 30% off everything on Raycon's website when you go to buyraycon.com/THPN. All right. Well, I've got a good one. I actually figured this one out in the middle of the episode, but I actually really like this. We were talking about Danish players earlier, and we talked about how Nikolai Ehlers is now the number one all-time Danish player in terms of points in the NHL. So you've already got the number one. I'm going to ask you for the top five, and this is fun. I really like this top five. I love these ones.
Well, I know one of them because it was discussed on another podcast that I listened to. So it's a
Okay.
little cheating for me. I want Nick to maybe take a guess first.
Oh no, you go first. We're gonna need all the help we can get here.
So Franz Nielsen should be one of them.
He is number two. So Ehlers 474, Franz Nielsen 473. And that's one and two.
Lars Eller.
Number three, 409.
Danish. Zuccarella's not Danish, right? He's Swiss,
Norwegian.
Norwegian. Yeah.
He's not Danish.
This is hard.
I don't ever think
Number
of.
four is currently in the league. Number five is not, but this is one of my favorite, like random NHL players. I loved getting this guy in franchise mode in like circa like 20 NHL 16, 17, stuff like that. He was an Avs guy, the number five. I'll say that. I think he played for someone else, but I think of him as an Avs guy.
Hmm.
And the other guy, number four, you should just be able to get. He's in the league right now. He's relevant.
Is the Avs guy Sven Andrighetto?
No, that's a really deep cut pull. I would argue this guy was a bigger deal than that. Like this
Okay.
guy was actually like for a little while, I feel like he was a pretty solid middle six dude in the NHL.
Okay.
Dane it. I'm usually pretty good with the nationalities, but some of these smaller ones I
It's
am not as good
tough.
at. Because you try to think of like names too. Like there's like what is a Danish name? I don't know. Like, but one of them's current,
One of them's current and one was
an Avs middle six-ish player, kind of.
So the Avs guy, this is the deal. For some reason, I freaking love this guy, but he
this is gonna be
played
like an insanely deep cut, isn't it?
not really. Here's the thing. He joined the league in 0809, and he didn't
Huh.
leave until 1920. He was in the league for a good while there. He started actually with the Yotes. I guess I'm kind of wrong for saying he's an Avs guy. He was only there
Oh,
for half a season, but I just think of him as an Avs
Peter
guy.
Mueller?
Nope. He was
Good
on the
guess.
he was on the Yotes from '08 to wow, 16, and then got traded to the Avs in the middle of that season.
Mikhail
And then
Bodker.
yes, there we go.
Good,
Mikhail Bodker.
good pool.
Yeah,
Bodker,
I
he
think
was
of
a good
him
player.
only as a
I
Yote.
I don't know why I associate him with the
Yeah,
Avs. He only played like
it's a yoke for me
20
too.
games there, but then he went to the Sharks and the Sens after that. But
Okay,
Playoff overtime wizard.
yeah, I'm saying like that's not that deep of a cut. Bodker was a great player.
He
So
was
he's
on that Yotes team that went to the conference finals with Biz
yes,
and the Wizard
he was,
and
you're right.
yeah.
Yeah.
it's 2012.
Yeah. Yeah, he was there and he
So
played all 82 games that year.
the last one is active.
So Bodker was fifth with 327. This guy is active in the NHL. He's got 343, 95 birthday. He's played almost 600 games in the CHL.
Who's he? If you tell us who he plays for, is that gonna give it away?
Mm,
I don't know
maybe.
Danish players.
Let me see if I can give
I've
you
got a
like
Danish goalie I can give you, but that's about it.
what's funny is the Danish goalie, is he an active goalie?
I think so, right?
Say the name.
Yeah, isn't Freddie Anderson's Danish, right?
Yeah, and he is
Yeah.
10th on the all-time points list for Danish
There you
players
go.
with 15 points. All
Who?
right, all right. So this guy, let me try and give you some
And
hints
he's
here.
played 600 games in the NHL, and we just don't know that
Five
he's Danish.
550 and change.
Okay, I'll round up.
We're gonna need some help. Is he on the same team that drafted him?
Um, he is not. So the team that drafted him, okay, I'll tell you this. He was third round, 89th overall in the 2013 draft by a Metro team. He played with that Metro team from 2015-16 season all the way through 21-22. And now this is his third year with his current team.
Who's not Metro?
Not Metro, not even Eastern Conference. But he's the last 3 seasons, he's played basically every single game. He usually has around 20 to 30 goals.
What
Really
the?
consistent player.
Why can't I? Is he playing a Western Canada team?
Nope, he plays for a Western US team.
Mm, someone on the Kings, isn't it?
No, he was
No.
drafted by CBJ and he played there from 2015 to 2022.
And now he plays for a Western team. Man, why am I struggling with
Great player,
this?
really good player,
Dude, I'm
actually.
like drowning here. I have absolutely no idea. Give us
He's
the team and see if we can get that.
the team he's on
Oh, I
right
got
now.
it. I got
Oh,
it.
no, go.
Who?
Yeah.
Who?
Wait, is it Oliver Bjorkstrand?
Yes,
Let's
good job, Harry.
There it
go.
is.
Nice,
What a
nice.
pull.
Yes,
There it
sir.
is. Whew.
Oliver.
Nice.
Damn. That was tough. See, I would have thought Bjorkstrand is like Swedish or something. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, they're
Yeah,
close to each other. It makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Portland Winterhawks legend, Oliver Bjorkstrand.
Great trivia question.
That was a good one.
I actually had a different one prepared, and then when we started talking about Ehlers, I was like, just out of my curiosity, I was like, who's top five? And when I looked
Solid.
and saw the top five, I was like, I bet they could get most, if not all these. So,
Well, you guys got any final notes before we get on out of here?
well, I was just gonna say that basically what we just learned there is that some Danes cook. Dane
God damn
cook.
it.
All right. I think I'm gonna end the show on that.
Like Dane cook. Like
Yes.
Yeah, no, like the comedian. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
like
like
Nate.
Kool-Aid, the big Kool-Aid joke and
Yeah.
Good
yeah.
Luck Chuck, one of the best movies ever. If
The
you know, you
car
know.
crash joke.
Right, right.
Uh, Jessica Alba. Wow. Okay, gonna end the episode there.
Dane cook.
Appreciate everybody for listening. Appreciate the love and support as always. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll get back with you guys next week. Without further ado.
Class dismissed.